Welcome to the chain. This is the BCC Club, and we're your hosts. I'm Kendahl Landreth.
And I'm Sarah Schauer. And each week we go down an internet rabbit hole, but this hole might be a bit different because what's happening?
It's our last episode
of
the
our
BCC Club.
We're ending the BCC Club, but it is good. It is fun. It is fine. We are friends.
It's good. It's fun. It's good. It's fine. It's you guys. It's fine.
No, it's great. We're not, but
it's totally good. No, it really is though. So this is our last episode, which feels so crazy. I was saying to Jordan yesterday, I was like, my relationship with Sarah is so different than any relationship I've ever had because we really didn't know each other when we started the podcast at all. Like the first time we met was at a lunch to talk about the podcast.
Yeah.
And it's like, we've had over like 130 hours of conversation just about like different topics. Like that's so not normal for most people. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I've learned so much in general, but I also just like have learned such an insane amount about you and different topics. Like we just have no phones, sat and talked for like over 130 hours.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
This is like the ideal, from an autistic perspective, the ideal autistic friendship because like it's purely like information exchange, personal anecdotes. Like it's all like so like straightforward and an emotion. It's not emotion free, but it's just like if I were to hang out with someone that as an autistic person, you're like, what do you want ideally? What this has been, you know?
Organized fun.
Organized fun, yes. And that's what it has been. It's just so nice. And I've really enjoyed it. And co-hosting with you. But we were just going to talk about, what's happening for us in the year 2025, we already know what's going to happen in the world.
Well, I know, not good. But we talked about resolutions last week, and I had a mental breakdown on camera where I was like, my world is ending. But I feel much better this week.
Good.
Last week was previous to me. I'm a big believer in the resolutions. So last week I hadn't really sat and thought about my resolutions. Then that last weekend, I sat and really thought about like how I want to go into the year, and now I feel unstoppable. I feel great.
Good.
I bought that book today.
Which
that
one?
You recommended me, The Courage to be Disliked.
Yes.
Bought that book today. Here's a tip. If you're ever like, what should my New Year's resolution be?
Yeah.
Go to a bookstore self-help section because you will get so many ideas. They have so many specific books that I can't even believe they're so specific. It would be like, how to be a girl boss when your mom had schizophrenia. Like they're so specific.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they've got a book for everything.
They do. That is like a great... honestly, if you're on a journey of self-discovery and you're trying to pace yourself with what you don't know, literally go to a bookstore in the self-help and write down all the stuff that like, you're like, wait, make a list. Don't necessarily buy all the books just yet, but make a list of like, I did deal with this and this and this and this. And it gives you almost a to-do list of what to unpack or questions to ask yourself.
Because some of it I saw one that was like, how to stop, it's like how to stop walking on eggshells. And I picked it up, and then on the bottom, it's like growing up with a parent with bipolar disorder or something, which I don't have experience in. But I was like, still could be an interesting read, and I'm sure I could pull from. There's just so much information out there.
No, exactly. I love that. When you're going on a journey of self-discovery, you're trying to. Most people like I said in the previous episodes, you're trying a lot of people, quote unquote, like diagnosing themselves, which I don't think is true at all. You just want answers to the things that you've been thinking about with yourself.
Yeah.
Like if you start to take like the personality test, you like take the BuzzFeed Am I Gay test, like what you're trying to do is find out who you are. And so like another great tool is and then there's a second tip on top of what Kendahl said. Like you go through the self-help, look at, these are questions I didn't think to ask.
Right. Yeah.
And those questions, will just help you start to, snowball into a journey of self-discovery. This is an ADHD tip that I found out because I want to start making glass art in the new year.
Fun.
Yeah. And I was talking to someone who has ADHD, and she's like a self-help person, but not online. A therapist.
As they call it.
And she was like, okay, this is what I tell all my ADHD clients, because usually ADHD people go nuts to guts when it comes to hobbies. She's like, buy a book on the hobby.
Yeah.
Don't buy anything else.
Yeah.
Get through the book, and if you still like it, then pursue the hobby.
Right.
A lot of us will get the instructions and all the materials at once, and then we get frustrated or we're oh, this is too much effort. But then also, I was talking about that on my Instagram story, and someone replied, don't even buy the book. There are so many craft books in the library that are untouched.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if you go on Libby, when I tell you there is no wait time for any arts and crafts book.
No.
Just so, and the thing is Libby, you know, audiobooks, you're like, I have ADHD, I understand, listen to them. You know, and so that way you can be like, okay, yeah, this is something I want to do, or this is not something I think I have time for. That's just a new fun tip for the new year.
Well, last year I bought $500 worth of cake decorating supplies.
Yes.
And asked me how many times I've decorated a cake.
How many?
One time, and it was terrible, and I will never do it again.
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, you could get into cakes again if you'd like.
I know. I don't want to, though. I did it one time, and I said, this was terrible. And it took so long. My kitchen's a mess.
Yeah.
What am I planning on selling these? Like, what's the goal here? I have no idea. Because cake decorating is one thing that I'm like, you do not need to monetize your hobbies.
Yeah.
But decorating cakes is very expensive.
Yes.
So unless you're just like really passionate, it's not sustainable.
I would say specifically for you, if you were to like start picking up cake decorating to make it make sense income-wise, I'd start incorporating a lot of cakes into your sketches.
There we go. That's a good idea.
So then you could write it off as like, oh, this is a prop.
Yes.
And then your manager is like, all right, so why are all of your sketches now have to do with cakes at some point?
Oh, I could do a video about, you know, those friends. We adore them, we love them, but they're like minimalists, and they have their shit together.
Yeah.
They're the type of person that'll be like, no gifts to my birthday party, only bring tulips. And you're like, what is this? I should do a character where I'm showing off the birthday cake they make, because I feel like those people always make cakes, and it's always completely white with like a fern on top. And I'm like, I don't want to eat this. And also, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, have some fun.
Yeah, different art. Minimalist.
Different art for different farts.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. But I'm very much clutter, detail. I want my cake, or I want whatever I'm looking at to punch me in the face.
You remember my birthday cake last year?
Yes, with the dinosaurs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
that was a good one.
That's what I like. I mean, but the thing is I understand people have their own individual styles. It's like decorating for Christmas. Are you like a simple, plain, you know, green tree with some very minimal decorations, or are you like grandma's house?
Yeah.
You know, are you grandma's house or?
Oh, I'm big time grandma's house.
Yeah.
Probably it's just how you grew up, maybe, because my instinct, which is rude, is to be like, if you're super like, you know, one of those people that's like, I decorate my tree in such a specific way that it's not fun at all. I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like, what is going on? And you need to read one of these self-help books that I'm reading. But my mom did very grandma's quote unquote Christmas. Yeah. So it's very nostalgic for me.
Yeah.
So I decorate really big and like old vintage. I love going to like thrift stores and getting vintage Christmas decorations.
Yeah.
They're just giving that stuff away, you guys.
They really are. Like,
go to a thrift store around Christmas. Oh boy.
And then circle around to the candelabras. Those are always, no one touches them. And I know I mentioned it the other time, but then I also understand if you're a minimalist because you grew up very grandma's house.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, I'm breaking the habit. Like, I can't collect all this. I totally understand that angle. But if you're like, everyone else loves minimalism and that's why I do it, then I'm like, ugh.
Well, but to me, because before I started dating Jordan's a big maximalist. I would definitely identify more as a minimalist. Like before we started dating, my house looked like an Airbnb. Like there was no decorations. Every surface had a candle and a succulent. It was perfect. And I loved it. So I totally get that feeling. But when it comes to a cake, I'm like, there was no way that like your grandma's cakes growing up were way too busy.
Yeah.
So now you're retreating. It's like, to me, you just want to look good for a photo.
Yeah, probably.
But I don't like that photo.
I'm not going to like that photo.
I'm not going to like that photo at all. That's so boring. I'm like, if I see a cake, I saw a cake the other day. It was a full-sized sculpture of Moana. I said, yeah, I want to see a picture of that.
Yes. No, seriously. Oh my gosh. I'm realizing this episode will probably come out January 15th. Start your year right with some heartbreak. But the thing is heartbreak is, if you happen to start to mourn us ending, with the mourning process, well, you will have to go through the denial and get over it. But like, you will quickly hit the anger stage.
The thought of denial over a podcast ending is so funny. Be like, it's not ending. No. It's not ending. It's not.
No, but here's the thing. I'm not saying trying to force someone out of denial is so stupid. But I know as an alcoholic. But like, if you get through the denial phase, then you're gonna be in pure anger. And that anger is action, and you could use that as fuel towards your goals. So get pissed at us.
That's why we're doing it on January 1st.
No, I'm sorry. Don't get...
Get pissed at it. Come on. I need some form of attention. I'm getting I don't get hate comments I don't get enough hate. I get hate comments, but not enough that I feel that famous. Bring them on in the new year.
I get some hate comments, but what is more destabilizing for me, which is weird, ever since I started getting into like educational stuff, and like since I'm just sharing what I'm learning from books that people can like fact check for themselves, everyone's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. And the thing is your entire life when people have talked to you like you're stupid, whenever people start to agree with you a lot,
very upsetting.
You're like, are you mocking me?
100%.
Like the thing is and I it's starting to like really, and I know that this is like my avoidance side coming out where like people are like, oh, we like what you're saying. We like you. Yeah. I'm like, what?
You pervert?
Why would you read a book?
Yeah.
The book I suggested, we'll come to the same conclusion. Yeah. But no, I deeply appreciate people like agreeing with me. But when I do get hate comments, they just don't even make sense anymore. Because now I'm like, you have no idea who I am. Why are you even, that doesn't make any sense.
It's what I feel like is hard now is it used to be like there were trolls on the internet, which to me is so easy. Like when someone's like ugly lesbian, like that has no effect on me. Like, I'm just like, okay. I like don't even process it as a hate comment. Now we've moved past trolls into like a new era of hate comments that I do find annoying, which is like the condescending hate comment. Yeah. Which is like the hey bestie.
Yes.
I'm literally worried about you. Like I actually want to know like how are you doing? You know what I mean? Where I'm like, get the fuck away from me. You do not know me and I'm fine. You know what I mean? Or the people being like, sorry to bring it up again. Is anyone else like really disturbed by the fact that Kendahl's blackout drunk on this episode? Yeah. Like it's this really weird condescending, like almost like advice where people like, I'm giving you this advice, but it's like not actually helpful advice. It is a hate comment. I'm like, just put that you don't like me.
Yeah.
That's so much more clear.
Oh my gosh, this is a whole thing. Yeah, back in the day when I first started on the internet, it was overt hate. Like, you ugly piece of shit.
I respect it.
I did actually respect it. But then the thing is and this is going to sound so Republican for a second. We got woke, right? Yeah. And so like a lot of people who wanted to seem woke but still wanted to insult, they now had to get covert. Oh yeah. Right? And by like feigning concern, right? Oh, I'm worried that Kendahl's drunk. Sarah, I'm worried that like you're not taking care of yourself. Are you going to relapse soon? Because the thing is plausible deniability, that's like that's the whole, and I'm not saying that, I'm not pathologizing a whole bunch of people, but like covert narcissism, right? You need like the smoke screen of like, it's plausible, but I still want to be able to like make digs at you.
Well, and you want to start a conversation of drama. Like you really do not care at all, but you want people to be like, oh, I hadn't thought about that. Like even though it's based on nothing. Someone would be like, does anyone else think Kendahl seems manic? Yeah. And then people are like, oh, I guess if I really watch, maybe she does seem, it's like, you know what I mean? It's like to start drama, but in a way that is manipulative and annoying.
But the thing is if we have listened to any people who are plus size or disabled online, is that is the usual route of attack, is where the thing is that they're going to feign concern about is your health. Which means they either have to infantilize you, like they're probably going to make it seem like you can't take care of yourself, like you are incapable, and that means that they are now placing themselves above you as their supposed caretaker, which you have to consent to, right? Like that, I mean, it's just like, oh, I'm worried about your health. I'm worried about but the thing is people's bodies, mental and physical health is not any of your concern unless, nuance, they're doing a highly unhealthy behavior consistently, and it's objectively ruining their life. Like if I was...
Or they're promoting it.
Yes, or if I was going on live every day and I told you I have an issue with alcohol, and every single time I go on live, I'm cracking open literally a 6-pack, and I'm like, guys, then I would expect people in the comments to be like, so... Right. I know that this is a big area of concern for you as it's a large part of your content. Right. You seem to be relapsing in front of us continuously and just making an informed decision. Right. I'm going to say, should you probably get off live right now? And that makes sense. But the thing is speculating or, you know, talking about someone's health when that's not a point that they've touched on.
Yeah.
Right? Just because someone is disabled or plus size and exists in your eyesight doesn't mean that they are consenting to you commenting on that. And in a similar vein, if someone is doing or speaking in a way that you're like, this seems like it could be, it doesn't mean that they're consenting to you commenting on it. And the fact that you're feigning concern is the age-old tactic for everyone to weasel in.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's also only at people who are like doing their best. Like, I feel like it's like the people who are the most considerate online, they're obviously trying their best. They're trying to learn. They're trying to educate themselves. They're just pummeled to a pulp. Like, they're just this perfectionism expected. Meanwhile, Candace Owens is out there saying that she decides what's gay. And what did she say? Did you see this video?
No.
I'm dying on it. It's this video for saying, I wish I had it memorized. She's talking about Wicked and talking about how gay it feels. And then she's like, and I'm the decider of what's gay. And I'm like, honestly, pop off, queen.
Sure.
I will say the right wing's take on Wicked is killing me. It's so funny. Have you seen these videos?
No.
Ben Shapiro did a whole video about, I don't watch Ben Shapiro, obviously.
Yeah.
But I saw clips of him talking about how talented Cynthia Erivo is. And like, the closeted conservatives cannot stay closeted for Wicked. Like, they have to come out. It's like pulling them out. They all have to talk about Wicked. They're obsessed. They all love Wicked.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's a sidebar. But people like that are really just not thinking, saying whatever they want, don't care about anyone's feelings, aren't empathetic, just don't care. They're just free reign.
Yeah.
And then anyone who's like trying, but I guess it's like the audience you build. Then you build like a audience that really cares about the way things are worded, but it feels like those people, everyone's so hard on them.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know if that's necessarily the most helpful. You know what I mean?
No, it's not. And there's 3 types of perfectionism. There's self-oriented perfectionism, where you're super hard on yourself. There's socially prescribed perfectionism, where your culture expects highly of you. And then there's other-oriented perfectionism. It's where you expect perfection from other people, but you don't expect it from yourself, and that's associated with the dark triad of personality traits, which is narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy, right?
What's that second one?
Machiavellianism.
I never heard that one.
Like basically a conquering mentality.
Oh, got it. Okay.
And it's more political.
And that's in the narcissism arena?
Well, it's the dark triad.
Of narcissism, though.
No, no. Psychopathy, narcissism, and Machiavellianism are like 3 separate things, but it's the dark triad, and you find yourself in the triangle of all these traits. You're somewhere in the area.
Who is? Everyone?
No, the person with oriented perfection. Oriented.
Got it. Okay, yes, thank you. I was sorry. That's what I was trying to figure out okay, got it. Okay.
How you can tell if someone online has other oriented perfectionism traits is look at what they are calling you out for and then go to their page. If you do not find anything that they say that you should be advocating for, this person is holding you to a higher standard. And the nuance is, if you're a content creator, you are held to a higher standard on certain topics. But the thing is if you are speaking on topics, right, and then someone's like, oh, you didn't speak on this, you go to their page, there's diddly squat, right? They do have much lower standards, but their lower standards is not 0. Right? So they hold you to a higher standard. And the thing is if someone can only see your flaws, right, and they can't see anything good that you're doing, they are operating out of paranoia, not discernment. Now, it goes, if you only see the negative in things, you think that life can only be like negative, you're operating out of paranoia. If you think that everything will be fine and great and everyone's cool, you're naive. But if you see both the negative and the positive at the same time, you have a discerning mentality, right? You're discerning, you're seeing everything for it fully is, and you're, going forward and acting and commenting on things. The people who can only notice the bad about you, that doesn't say anything good about where they're at. The people who can only say things that are good about you, that actually doesn't say anything good about where they're at. We all need to move towards discernment. And discernment relies heavily on information. There we go.
Come on now.
But yeah, and criticism is totally valid for like content creators. And I'm not saying that being woke is a bad thing. I'm saying that like people wanted to like disguise, because they couldn't be outright mean, so they had to make subtle digs.
Well, it's like anything, like, therapy speak is really great. Like like everything can be two things. And I think every single thing is taken by manipulative people and turned into something bad. So I think it's like with everything, like, you know, knowing what a narcissist is and knowing how they act and knowing what ADHD is and all that can be so helpful. But if someone wants to use it in a manipulative way, it's very easy to do so.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate.
Not everyone is a narcissist, obviously, but if you'd like to read Caste by Isabel Wilkerson, it's great. In America specifically, this is a culture of narcissism, right? It's also a culture of alcoholism. America's a culture of alcoholism, but that does not mean everyone's an alcoholic.
Right.
It means that alcohol is so normalized that you can post videos of yourself falling over blackout drunk and everyone's like, that's so funny. If that person were on meth or on any other drug, and they're falling over and they're throwing up on themselves, then we would be like, ugh. Yeah. But alcoholism and narcissism is, in an individualistic culture, is so normalized that it's not saying that everyone's an alcoholic. This is the difference between sociology and psychology, right? Sociology is the study. Actually, this is the thing that's going to piss me off. If I'm talking about sociology and I'm talking about a group of people, some people are like, oh, I'm part of that group, but that's not true for me. Sociology is the study of groups. It's an average, right? If I was a teacher's assistant, right, and I was saying, okay, guys, I'm saying to a class of 300 people, the average score was 75. You were to stand up and say, that's not true. I got a 69.
Right.
You don't understand how...
Oh, yeah, that's so true.
Averages work, right? It is, you know, there's going to be deviation within a large group of people, right? So I'm saying in a culture of narcissism and alcoholism, we're getting into sociology and anthropology, right? If that is not true for you individually, you have stood up and declared, I got a 69. That is wonderful, and we will get you some learning tools. But I'm saying the class average was narcissism,
Very
alcoholism.
funny to stand up and brag about getting it. No, I got a 69. I did worse than that.
Well, the thing is with the internet, and I totally understand this issue initially, is that like people assume you and I are talking to, like one person is listening.
Right, yeah.
So they're assuming it's 1-to-1. However, we are talking to a mass audience, so we're going to be speaking in averages and generalities. So a lot of people are going to hear that and be like, they're speaking to me.
Yes.
And what they said was wrong. And I want to be right. The thing is you're right about yourself, dude. You're so right. Your feelings are so valid. This is an average.
Right. But I think that whole problem is like how we've also gotten ourselves into such a scary political place. Because I think it's like the plan was always like as people get older and die, the younger people will always be more liberal.
Yeah.
And we found ourselves in a place where that is not true. I mean, it is true, but so many young Gen Z men voted for Donald Trump in the last election in a very upsetting, scary way. And I think there is this like problem with the internet, and the internet is so amazing in so many ways. But I think we never see the average of anyone because that's not clickable and that's not interesting.
Yes.
So we're watching the outliers of everything. And this is not to say like, this isn't me trying to be like, Republicans aren't so bad.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm saying. I think it's all, but we're on both sides, we're seeing the craziest of the right. We're seeing the craziest of the left.
Yeah.
And I'll see these videos where it's like someone being like, this is the problem with the liberals. And it's this person that I'm like, I think this person's weird too. I think this person is bizarre. I think this person, I would not hang out with this person. I am in the same boat. I think this person is weird. I also think they should be able to do whatever they want, but I am not, this is not the majority, but we've taken, like, we're never seeing the average at all. So I think it's made everyone at this heightened place to think the average is this insane thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. You guys should actually pick up the book, The Data Detective, because it breaks this down when it comes to like positivity and negativity biases with the news. The news reports what is not necessarily bad. I mean, it is bad or good, but they prioritize what is shocking, right? And surprise is a base emotion, right? And they want to shock you. They want to strike you with lightning every single time. But the thing is if you've been struck by lightning a couple times, what happens? You're frozen in place, right? And then you eventually die, right? Shock is a high level of surprise. There's low, moderate, high. If you're in a high state of shock consistently, you're going to be numb. And then you're going to die. But you're going to be completely numb, right? And so but with the news, it's not that good, and this is discernment, right? It's having the negative and the good, right? So we have to look at the good for a second. This is not me being naive, but like the thing is there's a lot of negative things are events, right? Explosive things that happen. The good is constantly happening, but like we said with the art thing, the good is everywhere. It's just life, right?
Yeah.
It is like hugging someone you love. It's going for a run. It's talking to a friend. Like these are things, and the thing is happiness is there are multiple layers of happiness as well. There's so many joyous events in the world, but the thing is that they are if the news were to report on every good things that's happening, they are mainly processes, so it would be just updates, right?
Yeah.
Scientists are reducing global warming. Now you're circling back you go to the next day. The scientists are still working on it. They're still working on it.
Yeah.
They're still working on it. And then the news doesn't want to just keep doing progress checks.
Right.
So it's going to mainly report on things that are incendiary, awful, crashes, something that happened unexpectedly, right?
Or there's something that happened once. I think that's like what we get so much trouble with is like so much of what I think the right is so scared of are things that I'm like, that happened one time. Like that's not an epidemic. Stop acting like this is like, I mean, when you hear them talk about like trans people in sports, which obviously we completely don't agree no matter what.
Yeah.
But also, it's not you would think every Olympic sport is 90% trans people competing in them. It's like not happening. Like but they think everything, the way the news is to shock people, it's this fear to make them think like this is happening. I always think it's so interesting when it comes to like these people on Facebook that are so scared of gay people.
Yeah.
And I know them, whether they're from my hometown, I'm like, you don't even know a gay person. Why are you acting like you can't go to the grocery store without a person doing a drag performance for you? Like, this is not happening. But the news has convinced them it's like traveling towards them like a zombie apocalypse, these liberal gay people trying to like, death drop on them. And it's like not happening.
No. And oh my gosh, this is another point that I've been making. So like why Republicans latch on to like the one trans person story, one gay person story, one woman did something bad story is because the thing is okay, emotions are heat, right? Information, clarity is light. In physics, light and heat are simultaneous, right? To get the full image, trust your feelings, but wait until you have all the information, right? If you can see and feel what's happening in front of you, you're going to have a clearer image of what's happening. Since Republicans cannot give you information on why you should be scared because they're making this shit up, they feed you heat all the time.
Constant,
yeah. And so when they find a news article that could pair with the heat, they're gonna cling on to it, right? Because if they were to actually show you the image of the world around us, they would have to expose you to the horrors that they set up, right? And so since they can't give away their position, they have to keep your eyes closed, but keep feeding you heat. So you are getting half of the story, right? And they are like, you should be afraid. It's gonna crash. It's taking our jobs, right? They're feeding you heat, but they're not giving you, because we talk about like Trump's tariffs, and the thing is any person in finance, even if you're a Republican, is like, this is not how tariffs work, right? Like even a Republican just who has it, they could tell you that, but the thing is they're not going to explain how tariffs work. They're going to give you the feeling that everything is going to be cheaper, but they are not illuminating how that will happen, right? So they are purposefully feeding you heat, but keeping you in the dark. And so that is discernment, right? You should always trust your feelings, but you should not discern if you should believe or disbelieve something until you have the facts of the situation. Like if someone is constantly feeding you emotions, they're making you feel a certain way, but you don't know why, they want to keep you confused.
Well, right. Yeah. And it is really I remember making calls in 2016 to people in North Carolina for the election. And I remember talking to this one guy that I just found it was so eye-opening because whether or not this is a man I clearly do not agree with.
Yeah.
This is a man I clearly would not be connected to. But his feelings are real. Like, he is feeling these. This is not a performance he's putting on.
Yeah.
I call him. He's this old man. And I was like, are you registered to vote? And he was like, I need help. Like, I haven't gone to the grocery store in weeks. I'm in my house because I'm so afraid of what's going on outside, because this was in the midst of the Black Lives Matter movement.
Yeah.
He was like, there's no police and no one. He thought if he walked outside, he would be killed, which is like crazy. This white man was like, he's seeing videos online of like all this hubbubaloo is the first word I could think of.
Yeah.
And he's like, I can't leave my house. And it's like, this is clearly so much misinformation that this man has received.
Yeah.
But he is literally so scared he's not leaving his house, which is insane. But I think that's like anytime I've ever talked to a conservative about like defunding the police, for example, they're always like, so what, you think just murderers should be let out and roam the street? And I'm like, do you genuinely think that's what I think? Like, do you really think I'm like, we should just like, no laws, have it be the purge 24/7. Nobody thinks that. Well, maybe some people think that, but that's not what we're talking about at all.
Yeah.
And I think it is this like fear-based thing where it's like, I remember watching this documentary by accident. I don't know, it like came on my Netflix and I realized it was kind of like propaganda and I was like, oops, and I turned off. But it's this whole documentary about, I'm pretty sure it was in Michigan.
Uh-huh.
And it was a documentary about police officers.
Yeah.
Like a TV show. And the whole documentary is them basically being like pro Blue Lives Matter and being like, look how hard it is to be a police officer. But the whole documentary could be a promotional video for why we should defund the police as well.
Yeah.
Because it was just them being like, you guys don't understand, like, we're not trained for all this stuff we have to do. Like, it's so overwhelming and there's only a few of us and we're trying to like help these people who like, we don't have the skills to help them. And I'm like, yeah. And so it's fully emotional where they're like, you don't get it. You don't feel bad for me. Like, if you just felt bad for me, you would understand where I was coming from. And it's like, yeah, that's not, you truly think what we think is that you should all be fired from your jobs immediately and nothing should replace it and everything should just wreak havoc.
Yeah.
Because that's what's been fed, this like fear of chaos that is so bizarre.
Yeah, and I mean the fear-based thing is that's the whole basis of like someone being paranoid. You're incredibly afraid, and I'm not saying that that's inherently a bad thing or like there's different like ways to be paranoid, but they always go the alarmist, the extremist, the negative route because they are only looking at the fear element, right? And this is not and that's, you're not being discerning, right? If you had also the good information, like, hey, cops are not in North Carolina just out, disappearing. It's not like
disappearing. They go on their shifts and we can't find any of them.
I don't know. Like, it's like you only have the negative information. You're going to be paranoid. And then it's like, oh, if we defund the police, oh, you think that we should just allow murderers out? That's what you're worried about.
Yeah.
We talk about projection, right? Like, they're projecting an image, and to see an image, you need light.
I also always think it's funny because I'm like, do you guys think prisons are 90% murderers? It's like, people really think the prison system, it's like, they're picturing it as just like 90 Jeffrey Dahmers in one cell. I'm like, that's not what is happening there.
Yeah.
But also, like, I think, that was unrelated, but it is interesting to me.
It is related. It's also like, but yeah, I mean, if you were to survey who do you think is in jail right now for what crimes, you would see the actual like results of how the news reports, right? Because the news is always talking about someone does get murdered every day. But if you were then to survey the people, they'd be like, well, everyone who's in jail is in jail for murder. No, dude, you have only paid attention to the surprising thing. And the thing is with surprise, surprise is a simple emotion, right? And so like the thing is there someone in the book that I was reading, he was like like awe and wonder and things that inspire. Awe and wonder are not the same as surprise. Surprise is its emotion to itself. Awe and wonder is happiness and fear. And so like if you want the news to inspire awe and wonder, you got to get out of surprise and into a combo of happiness and fear. But no one knows how to shift gears emotionally.
Yeah.
I can't even.
It's like, I saw this Facebook post, it's kind of unrelated, but I just thought it was so interesting. It was a Facebook post of a book. It was just a photo of a book. And yeah, I got to get off Facebook. What I'm doing
I'm actually surprised that you're still there.
I feel like Facebook to me is like research. I'm like, it's where I keep up with what middle America is doing and what my parents' friends think. Like that is all I'm doing on there. But I saw this post of a book and it was called My Daddy's Pregnant or something. It's a children's book with a man, a person who identifies as a man on the front who's pregnant.
Uh-huh.
People were in terror. The comments were like, people were like, there's a gunman at your front door. That was the level of terror in the comments. People were horrified. People were like, this is why I've decided, after seeing this post, I will be homeschooling my children.
Yeah.
Because this book exists. First of all, this book has to be, I would be shocked if this book was sold in, first of all, it's always funny because I'm like, this isn't being sold in Alabama. That's what I'll tell you.
Yeah.
So the people who are upset, probably it's never even going to affect them anyways. But also I'm like, this is clearly such a specific book for children who have two dads, one of whom was able to get pregnant.
Yeah.
What percentage of people is that? I would love to know. I assume 0.0005.
Yeah.
So I don't think this is at the front of Barnes & Noble's being promoted as, but also on top of it, to think that first day of school, you walk your kindergartner in and the teacher's like, book of the week is My Daddy's Pregnant.
Yeah.
Why would they read that? Why would they read about anyone getting pregnant?
Yeah.
It is irrelevant, and unless you have a kid who is about to have a sister. You know, it's like so weird. But this alarm is that they see this book and their instinct is to think, if I let my kid go to public school in Virginia this year, they are going to bring a trans pregnant man into the classroom and make my kid take a video with him.
Yes.
Saying, I support that. Like, what do
Pledging
you
allegiance to him.
It's like, what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah.
It's just so, but this is like everything. It's like when you really look at the statistics of like, I mean, if 80% of people were trans, that'd be incredible. But when you really look at like who is trans, it's like the percentages are.
I think it's around 1%.
It's in most states way below that. And obviously, not everyone who's trans was involved in this poll, but it's like, why are we? This is the main opinion people have on the right. Like this is their Everest.
Yeah,
it's trans people, and it's just like not relevant. Like it's relevant. Trans rights are relevant.
Yeah,
but to their day-to-day lives, if they could just, and I think most of these people even interact with trans people and don't know, or if in real life interacted with them, wouldn't be so insane. But this thing where they are acting like every teacher at their school is going to, which just wouldn't be a problem, but is going to be a trans man is just so interesting to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is a culture of narcissism.
But how do you not understand when it's like, well, you watch on the news, but then you live your life? Like, how are you going, see, this is why I can't let my kids go to school because I know this is happening at their school, but you have kids in school and you're seeing that's not what's happening in school.
Yeah.
This is fascinating to me.
This is actually, that's a great example of like, so like when there's a disconnect there. The reason why so many people, Republicans, voted for Trump, even though he said like I'm gonna impose tariffs, is because there is a disconnect between the world and the individual, right? It's such an individualistic culture that you're like, oh, if I vote for this, it'll affect the world, but I'm not a part of that, right? Like, and so now it's hitting people. It was cognitive dissonance, but
literally, yeah.
But the thing is like they're taking away veterans' benefits. Everything is going to go up in cost. They're getting rid of the Department of Education. They voted against Obamacare because they didn't like Obamacare. It's the Affordable Care Act, dipshit. Like, the thing is like they voted against all their interests because they are so individualistic, so self-centered, so conditioned in a culture of narcissism that they were like, I am not a part of the world, I am above it.
Yeah.
Right? And then they're realizing, oh my God, I am a part of the world. Welcome to the club.
Well, Jordan and I could not stop laughing at this video. We were trying to find any levity post-election results. There's this video of this man walking into his wife. They clearly voted for Trump, and it's right after he won. And he goes, baby, I'm going to be able to buy you our dream home.
Oh my God.
I'm like, are you on planet Earth?
No.
I'm sorry, you will never own a home. That is just the truth. You will, sir, you will never own a home, and you certainly will not own your dream home. If you thought the difference between, why, based on everything you would know about Donald Trump, do you think he's going to start Niecy Nash style handing out free homes? Mm-hmm. I guess that's not really what she did on Clean House, but you get what I'm saying.
That's never what she did.
On Clean House, she just cleaned the already existing homes, and she debatably didn't really clean them. My point is, why would he hand out homes? What is this that you think is going to happen? That you're going to, I'm sorry, your dream home, I'm assuming, if you live in the middle of nowhere, and I'm picturing your dream home, I'm picturing like $300,000.
Yeah.
You think he's just going to give out $300,000? What is the plan that you think you're going to get a dream home?
Yeah.
I'm so fascinated by it's like truly, but it's so individualistic is why I say it's like some people were like, I can't believe the amount of conversation around like the price of Whoppers at Burger King. And then the other side is talking about like human lives. Like, do you really care? First of all, it's not true. So it doesn't, I mean, the fact that you think Burger King is having a meeting every single month and going, well, we can't afford to pay our workers this much unless we raise it's like, that's not what's happening.
Yeah.
They could hand out burgers for 50 years for free and be completely fine.
Yeah.
Nothing is connected. I don't know. It's just truly fascinating. But if they do think that's true, the thought of like, I want every morning when I go get my Whopper Jr. for it to be $1 cheaper, and I don't care if my gay son can't get married. It's really fascinating to me.
Well, denial is a hell of a drug. So this is why they recommend, believe it or not, if one of the only effective treatments for narcissists is going to AA, because alcoholism and narcissism, like they kind of look somewhat similar. You're just so incredibly selfish and numb to the world, right? Because, I mean, emotions do have chemical reactions that happen in your head. And so a lot of people who are raised in an individualistic, narcissistic culture, right, they are numbed with the amount that they feel all the time, that like they need to honestly go through withdrawal. And so the fuck around, find out phase is going to be their rock bottom. And as much as it's going to suck for everyone who's about to find out, even though we didn't fuck around, actually we already found out, we're already, but the thing is like, these people are being fed basically ingesting only emotions, right? That would be like ingesting alcohol all the time, right? You're living in a state of altered consciousness. It's because you cannot actually stand the thought of your own feelings, right? And so like these people, it's cognitive distortion, it's cognitive dissonance, it's extreme selfishness, it's addicted to the chemicals that you get from just knowing, oh, I'm fine, I'm above other people. And this is also just me being... This is a video I want to make a video on. This is a topic I want to... If we want to be strategic as feminists, we have got to separate men from rich men. We have got to get out of the... I mean, we should not prioritize women versus men because they perceive us as beneath. But men are rich men's women, right? They do their bitch work.
Men or rich men. Got it. I'm back.
They do. They're free labor. Here's the thing. We all know if I were to go online and claim an identity that's not mine, what would happen?
You go to jail.
Torn to shreds, right? And the thing is we see that with a whole bunch of male podcast hosts. They keep talking like they're rich dudes. So why are rich men not chiming in to say, you're not fucking rich? Because these men are doing rich men's free labor, right? They're being misogynistic and they're saying, oh, you and I are the same. But the thing is they are not the same as a rich dude.
No, but they think they're 2 minutes away from it. That's like with everything. It's like, why do people not, why would a country vote for the benefit of 10 billionaires? Why would they? Why would they do that? And it's like, because they do not want you to take away the idea that they so soon could be that billionaire.
Yeah.
It's so fascinating that it's even a question. How would that election ever, there's people voting for not themselves, but voting for their future selves that will never exist.
Yeah, these male podcast hosts who are like, Elon Musk is the best. Dude, you have $5 in your bank account. Second off, right? You think that Elon Musk gives a shit about you? I remember being 15 and dating someone who was 22 and thinking that I was the exception to the rule and that they actually did care about me. These rich men don't give a shit about you, dudes. And you're about to find out in the most teenage girl way possible. So save yourself some dignity. Realize that the 1% and you are not the same, and you should ally with the much bigger group, right? And this is just strategic feminism. I could also get into war strategy, because I have been reading those books too. But oh my gosh, I love that our last episode is just letting it all. Wait, what are you doing for the year 2025?
What am I doing? According to my New Year's resolutions, all my dreams are coming true.
Hell yeah.
I am really getting my good. This year, I'm figuring out my work schedule.
Okay.
I don't want to feel like I'm floundering all the time. I don't want to feel like I'm always behind, even though I feel like I'm working all the time. This year, work was pretty intense.
Yeah.
I also think I'm learning to say no to things. That is a really hard thing when you come from, especially like not having any money, to then being offered jobs when there's that transition of like, I do need to say no, even if that means turning down money. That is like, you can't do it all, and it's not beneficial to do it all. So I'm trying to do less, but the quality is more in the new year. So yeah, I'm gonna make videos.
Hell yeah.
I got my, podcast with my partner Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
I am getting married next year.
Hell yeah.
Which I'm excited about. And yeah, I don't have crazy plans in the new year immediately, but just a ton of work. But I'm excited about it. I'm trying to have I get to attitude in the new year too.
Hell yeah.
What about you?
So after this podcast ends, I have a podcast coming out.
And I didn't know this. Rebecca had mentioned kind of like it said something about you. And I was like, wait, I have to hear about this. What is this?
It's called Schauer Thoughts.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's where left and right brain meet.
Just you?
Yeah.
I love that. I think that's amazing.
Yeah, I love talking about topics, and I love approaching from an analytical and research perspective, and then also from a fun perspective. And, Schauer Thoughts are random, insightful musings that happen while you're doing a mundane task, like taking a shower or listening to a podcast. So if you like how I talk, then that should be coming out in the new year.
That is so exciting.
Right before the Trump administration.
Come on, you're going to need it.
Yeah.
People are going to need to hear your thoughts during the Trump administration.
I think it'll help people de-stress, but also I think it's controlled stress, as is the essence of a shower. You know, you feel like everyone hates you. Take a shower. No, you just needed a fresh perspective.
Yeah.
And also, thankfully, my last name has been a point of bullying my entire life.
You're taking it back.
I am taking it back. And if I have a community, it's a communal shower.
I think that's an absolutely... I've thought that for so long. I've been like, Sarah has got to do a solo podcast too, because it's so like your ability to just
yap?
To yap, but in the best way. Like, I mean this as a compliment. Like, I think that's such a skill. Like, to talk, to just continue talking, and then while you're talking, think of something. It's like, I could never. That's just such a talent. And you're in such a place of learning. So it doesn't feel, I feel like it's such an exciting podcast too, because it's not just you like, here's all my knowledge and now I'm telling you. It's like kind of a learning community, which I think is also very healing for you.
Yeah. Like, I just want, and that's the thing is like, I never want to be right so much as I want to be clear, right? Like, because having like autism and ADHD, no one explains anything.
Yeah.
And so like what I'm happy about, like when I got like sober and I started reading this year, is I was like, oh my God, I'm actually starting to genuinely understand stuff.
Yeah.
So when I go online and I talk about like what I'm learning and I understand, it's not because I want to be like, you're stupid for not knowing this. It's like, I hear all the questions that people keep asking online and the stuff that people are stressed about, like from situationships to like all this stuff. And I'm like, I learned about a term that reminds me of that. And this is where the comedy expertise comes in. As comedians, you always are comparing two things, right? You're always like, oh, this is like this. And so that gave me the foundation for like how I draw parallels. I'm like, oh my God, you want to find out your sexual orientation? let's look to pilots who have to consider external sources and internal sources. Your forces, sorry. Your parents are telling you, oh, it's wrong, but you feel a certain way. So there's an external, internal force. We're trying to figure out our sexual orientation. And so comedy has primed me to be left and right brain.
Yeah.
And then I have a whole bunch of exercises for people.
Oh my God, I cannot wait. Where are you doing it at?
Here
in the studio?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
With Rebecca.
Rebecca?
Hopefully. Please.
Yeah, buddy.
Woo!
That is fun.
Yeah.
I am so excited to listen to it.
I'm excited to share. I love all the segments I could do. And the thing is, it's like you could do warming up, really getting in there.
Yeah.
Cooling down. So it's like, I mean, the essence, when it comes to showers, I'm actually very blessed with my last name because the segments are endless, honestly.
Yeah.
That's something. And I can chat, and I mean, I would love to have guests on.
Oh my God, fun.
Yeah, and we can just like not shoot the shit, actually deeply analyze a lot of stuff.
Okay, well, I'm going to force myself onto it.
But then, yes, obviously, yeah. I mean, but like the thing is I can find like different topics, and I can talk to this. I think I'm priding myself on being able to talk to almost anyone.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm so happy for you. That is so exciting. What else you got going on in the new year? I mean, that's a pretty big project, but.
Yeah, getting back into stand-up, and then also I'm starting my YouTube back up because TikTok is going down.
I think it might be. Now there's talk. Now Trump is like, well, my son really likes it, so maybe we'll keep it around. Did you hear him say this?
No. What?
He's talking about pushing back on the TikTok ban. A people's president.
What?
Based in just the stupidest. I'm like, what? This is like how I would make decisions. Where I'd be like, well, I don't know. He said he was like, I have a soft spot for TikTok in my heart because I think it's why I won the election. Some people say that. And, my son loves TikTok, so I have a special place in my heart. I'm like, okay, well.
Oh, you mean Baron the Swedish Floridian? Have you?
I like my suitcase.
God, his Boca Raton meets fucking the Alps. What is up with that kid? But I mean, thanks, Baron.
I know. I don't know. It probably won't. Who knows? I'm like, who knows if this is. I'm like, does Baron even have a cell phone? I feel like that's not a thing that political children get. Is a cell phone?
He does. His father doesn't talk to him.
Well, maybe that's true.
He has
can't
an
tell.
iPad. I actually don't know, but the thing is
He's an iPad.
I don't trust anything that Trump says.
No,
This is what I mean. He's feeding you heat and offering no clarity. So now you're like, I don't know what to believe. Believe it when you see it at this point. Oh my gosh. Well,
so we'll see. We'll see. Maybe it will stay, but as of now, yeah, going away.
Yeah, YouTube. And then I'm trying to get into like glass art.
That is awesome.
And also, I'm doing this project in my home where every time I read a book, I'm gonna get a art piece that corresponds to it, and then I have this entire hallway, and I'm gonna build out like the journey of my reading.
Oh my God.
And I'm excited because they're all nonfiction books. I mean, there's gonna be some fiction in there.
I was gonna say my art would be horribly pornographic.
Just a straight up porn. But actually, that would be so much fun. But like, I want to see like since I'm doing it in a hallway. It's like a neural pathway, and I want to see like how my thoughts literally connect, books.
Well, because I feel like you probably read something and then you're like, this made me think of this, so I want to read that.
Yeah.
That's fun.
That's like literally when I was talking about ambiguous grief, like or grieving in general. Like one of the stages of grief is bargaining, and so instead of looking at that from a psychology lens, I just straight up bought a book on bargaining. And I learned the financial aspect of a bargain.
Did you finish the Magician one?
Oh yeah, it was really
good. Did you like
good.
it? Okay.
Oh, I love. It's very insightful. If you guys want to read a book from people who enjoy tricking others and the mechanics of how it works, How Magicians Think is a really good book.
I'm excited. Maybe this will be my self-care book era.
Do it.
Because when I was in Barnes & Noble today, I was like, wow, they've got a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
It's a little intimidating because I do think it's kind of like, okay, I'm going to start this book, and then it's like, sometimes self-help books are a hard start.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of like, let me set you up for what this book's going to be about. And I'm like, I need to get into the nitty gritty of it. But I do think I want to be connecting to myself more this year.
Yeah.
And I think a self-help book is a great way to like even just take 15 minutes and be like, how does this relate to me?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they should tell you directly if it's a self-help book. You have autism.
Yeah.
I would hope from picking up this book.
They have so much specific. It just reminds me, today at Barnes & Noble, it's like, it would be like, learning to knit for the autistic person. I'm
Yeah.
like, what are these? I'm obsessed. I'm like, if you have any, just go. Don't look up books. Just go and like browse the self-care because you're gonna find stuff that you're like, I would have never thought this even existed.
Oh my gosh! But also separately, the textile arts for autistic people, because there's patterns, and it's formulaic. It's also calming. You can meditate as well. You're not taking in a lot of general information. You do have to like. I actually can't recommend knitting and sewing and like crocheting enough for autistic people, honestly, because it's
Wow.
like
Do you do any of those?
No, I did try to get into crochet once when I was younger, and then I got so frustrated because this is before I knew about YouTube and I couldn't look up tutorials, so I just ended up making a knot rope.
Crocheting is a little overwhelming to me because I'm like, when does this end? Because if I get into crocheting,
What's up to you?
well, sure, but I'm like, if I get into crocheting, I mean, I could just donate everything. But I don't know if people want... To me, I'm like, what, I'm going to make 80 blankets and then do what with?
Well, that's the thing. You're...
Like, creating something that stays is a little overwhelming.
Well, that's the issue of why ADHD people, you get ahead of yourself. Why would your mind go to the end result of 80 blankets?
Right. 100%.
What if you just completed one blanket and you're like, I don't like this anymore. Now you don't even have to worry about donating 79.
Yeah.
You have one.
I just have one blanket.
That you made that will fall apart in the wash.
I know. And I already own too many blankets as it is, so I shouldn't even do one.
Yes. No, you should do one.
I have too many blankets already.
That is black and white thinking, but not in the fun way.
I can't have any more blankets.
What's the black and white?
I have one ottoman, is that what it's called? That attaches to your couch?
Yes.
That holds blankets. It's full.
Uh-huh. Well then, I mean, I would just make a tiny one for your dog.
Well, that's a cute idea.
That would be cute.
Before we go out, Sarah, can you tell me what was a BCC Club topic that was your favorite to discuss, or one that you always remember and liked learning about?
Liked learning about. I loved what's classy if you're rich, trashy if you're poor.
Oh, that was a good one.
I do. I mean, I loved how much we talked about that dang family vloggers.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, but what about you?
Oh, my God. What did I like learning about? I liked...
Wait, can I tell you my favorite thing about this podcast in the past 2 years? I like that when we started off, we both kind of were just goofing off, guessing, and we were like, we're not good at reading. And then both you and I literally started our reading journey. And I mean, like, you keep saying that you've only read porn, but... But that's such a you literally a couple episodes ago you're like, I've only really read one book. And how many books have you read this year?
37,
right?
37. They're not all porn, okay? I have some class.
I know, but could you a year ago, could you imagine telling yourself I read 37 books?
It's crazy. And I feel because of that, it's like, everything is a level. So it's like, yeah, I read a lot of like silly stuff this year, which I shall continue to do.
Yeah.
But it also now, like today in the self-help section, I feel this like I could read anything here.
Yeah.
Which if you told me that a year ago, I would have been like, no. I think I felt so limited. Like if I went to the self-help section, I would have been like, well, I can't read these because I'm not smart enough and I couldn't get through them.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, well, I could get through them. It's just me picking what I want to read.
Okay, now can I insert really quickly? ADHD people, you're all or nothing thinking. Kendahl has ADHD. A year ago, if she was thinking a year from now, the result... If Kendahl was told you have to read 37 books,
oh my God,
she would have said no. But she just started, right? She just read one book after the other, right? You take it one step at a time, you break it apart instead of looking at the end goal, and now you're 37 books deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you believe it? And now I can set more goals. Now I can be like, next year I'm gonna read 50 because it's fun to me. It's not like I don't feel overwhelmed by that.
Yeah. But the thing is now that you've started reading, you can do anything.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
That's like a lot of what this year was too for me. I think it's like I used to be someone, there was just a lot of I could never do that in my life.
Yeah.
And even like with the gym, it's like now I go to the gym all the time. That used to be something that was like felt impossible out of my control. Mm-hmm. So there's been a couple of things this year that I'm like, well, if I could do that, I can do anything.
That's was me with getting sober, and then I tried stand-up, and then I tried reading, and now I'm like, I mean, yeah, you just gotta start, dude. We're at the end, but we're talking about starting.
There we go.
Yeah.
I really liked the episode about boy moms. I know that was recent, and short-term memory. So I'm like, what are the last 4 episodes we did? I really liked that. I also love talking about mommy vloggers because I think it's, I mean, where things have gone from when we started this podcast with mommy vloggers to now is night and day.
Yeah.
I like to think we're the trailblazers, okay? I was telling, Ruby Frankie was a free woman when we started this podcast.
She was, yeah.
And I was telling everyone, you guys, that woman is going to be in a cell. Give it a couple years. And she is. But even just the conversation around mommy vloggers has become so much more. And I don't say it was because of us, but I do think it's interesting.
I mean, we definitely helped. We definitely helped because we just yap. And I mean, well, guys, let us know what your favorite episode has been or your favorite revelation or anything really has been. This has been super fun. I mean,
fun.
Kendahl also has another podcast. I will be starting another podcast. So it's not that you won't be, and Kendahl will 100% be a guest on my podcast. So it's not like you won't hear the end of us chatting. But yeah.
But it's been such a treat. We've done we went to London together. We've done live shows at VidCon. We did New York Comedy Festival.
Yeah.
We've had such a nice journey, but I really am going to miss just chatting every week.
Same.
It's been such a treat. So thank you so much for letting me be a part of this.
Well, thanks for doing this with me, and thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for everything, for watching our journey and listening to us, and being patient with the reading stuff, because just because we read doesn't mean we're good at it. So,
and just talking to us in the comments and hearing us out and letting us grow and learn with you. I'm sounding jokey because it's a defense mechanism, but I do really appreciate it.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, but thank you guys so much, and if you would still like to like and subscribe, you absolutely can.
Totally can.
And where can everyone find you, just in case the TikTok ban and everything else goes? Yeah, since this is going away, and then where can everyone find you?
Well, you can find me at Kendahl Landreth anywhere. My name is spelled a little weird, Kendahl.
Yes.
Okay? Kendahl Landreth anywhere. And, I'm on YouTube. I'm on Instagram. I make long-form sketch comedy videos on YouTube, but then also my other podcast, Happy Wife, Happy Life, is there with my fiance. And we have a blast over there. Sarah's on an episode. And what about you, Sarah?
I'm Sarah Schauer everywhere. Sarah, with an H, and then SCHAUER. And I'm going to have Shower Thoughts coming out, but YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, if you want to see me just ramble, check out my stories in the morning. It's a nightmare. I'm on Storygraph, and I'm also on, I was going to say, it's something with Substack, yeah. Because now I'm getting into chit-chatting. But my YouTube is also Sarah Schauer. You should check it out. I don't know if TikTok is going away, so this is just...
well, follow us there anyways, honestly.
Yeah,
but it probably, maybe it will. Who knows? I don't know why. I've never trusted a single thing that man has said, but he was like, I don't know if I'll ban TikTok. But I'm like, is that even up to him? I don't really know. I have no idea what is people's ability as a president. So just follow us there anyways.
Yeah, and I think my new podcast is either coming out the 15th of January or the 13th. I don't know.
I'm so excited.
I'm excited.
Oh, I'm excited. I can't wait to listen. Do you know what your first episode is going to be about? You don't have to share it if you don't want to. But
I have 17 topics.
Perfect.
But most likely something to do with mentally preparing for the Trump administration in a practical way, because I am autistic and I don't want to give any feel-good shit, because what does that even mean at this point anymore? But other than that, probably third culture kids or Hope Corps.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I can't wait. Thank you all so much for being here. As always, thank you for spending every Wednesday with us for the last 2 years. And we appreciate you so much. And Sarah, I just adore you.
I adore you.
And I'm going to miss this. And I really appreciate you.
I appreciate you as well.
And all you've taught me.
Well, then we appreciate you guys deeply. Thank you so much. We love you from the bottom of our butts.
I love you from the bottom of our butts.
In the least parasocial way possible. But, have a good one.
Bye.